Welcome to Livestream Stars. I'm Ross Brand. This is the show where we feature talented broadcasters delivering high quality content across live stream platforms. And Livestream Stars is brought to you by livestreamuniverse.com, where you can find all of our schedules, past shows, and features. We also have daily updates with show recommendations on our Facebook page, facebook.com/livestreamuniverse, and now on iTunes as well. If you like what we do with our updates, please consider going to iTunes and leaving a review at livestreamuniverse.com/iTunes. That's livestreamuniverse.com/iTunes. And tonight's guest is Luria Petrucci. She hosts a weekly show, or a daily show, actually. Every week you're on daily. It's a daily show on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on 2 accounts on Twitter for Live Streaming Pros. You can find out more information at livestreamingpros.com and also facebook.com/livestreamingpros. And of course, Luria didn't start there. She's been one of the pioneers of live video and of podcasting, one of the first people to actually do a video podcast. And she has over 1 billion views to her credit and more than 3,500 videos and millions of social media followers. So I'll ask the first question, what are you doing on this little show?
No, numbers don't matter, right? Like that's really the key thing that I've learned over the years. I've had large numbers, I've had small numbers. It doesn't really matter. What matters is who's watching.
Right. Well, thank you so much for.
Oh. I was going to say the same thing. Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on. And, there's so many questions that people have about live video and live streaming. So just to get started, I love this 4 levels of live streaming thing, even though I can't figure out where I would actually fit into it. Can you share with people so people who are going to ask questions in the chat on Facebook and stuff can kind of figure out which level they're at, and maybe that can shape their questions a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So we go by 4 levels of live streaming. This is how we present the live streaming landscape. And so level 1 is the selfie stream, which is what I call the, phone. You've got your phone up against, and you're talking to the phone and you've got nothing else, right? That's the selfie stream. That's level 1. Totally a good thing to do. It's the easiest way to start. And it requires nothing. Just right. Hitting that go live button, right? And then level 2 is your phone, but with some gear. So adding a microphone, adding a stabilizer to it, and you can get a mobile kit for $250, even down to $150. So, it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it gives you a more professional look and feel for your live streams. So that's level 2. And then level 3 is where you are, Ross, which is going live from your desktop computer. And so this gives you the ability to, do kind of more fancy stuff like bring in online interviews. It allows you to, have title graphics so people know where to find you. You can do split screen stuff, but you're using a software on a desktop computer to go live. But that gives you a little bit more professionalism. It's a step up. And then level 4 is what we do on a daily basis, because we go live every single weekday. Right. Plus we do live stream events for AT&T and, an AB show and these big events. We use a dedicated machine. So what we use is a Livestream HD51 box. That's a machine that with a software that is dedicated to doing one thing and only one thing, and that is live streaming. But it's the TV quality version of the live stream levels. And this is the same exact software and hardware that CNN or ABC or any of those big companies, the networks, take when they do remote streams or, on like when they do election coverage, since that just happened, that kind of thing. Right. So it's a TV quality. So those are the 4 levels. And you're at level 3 because you're using a desktop computer, you're using software, and you're bringing in interviews, you're doing some of the fancier stuff.
Okay. I actually haven't gotten to level 1 yet, actually, but no, I think I did one cell phone broadcast when I couldn't get Wirecast to connect to Facebook Live, and I was doing a takeover of somebody's Facebook page. Other than that, I'm not sure I've ever done a phone. So
Oh,
my
interesting.
background's
Usually
in,
people start there.
yeah, no, I enjoy the interview, the talk show kind
Yeah.
of format.
And
So
you
for
know what? By the
people,
way,
go
before we
ahead.
move on, I just want to let you know that we are actually, I'm in the middle of putting together a quiz that will walk people through these things and the questions that you need to answer for yourself with live streaming to understand where you should be, and then the gear and the equipment and the things that you need to know
Right, right.
to be at the level that you want to be. So I'm actually putting that together right now as we speak. Well, not as we speak today. I'm not multitasking, but that'll be available later this week.
Right, right. And I think while we have people who are watching the show who are at all 4 levels, I would say that a lot of the people I think are on level 3 are doing desktop shows.
Mhm.
They're doing interviews. They're using either a platform or an encoding software or something like that. And so my question would be, what do you think are the easiest ways without spending much money or, changing your life around, that people who are, have started, say, in the last year, they started with Blab maybe, or they started with another platform like that and started doing interview shows and talk shows. What do you feel like are the main things that they could do easily to upgrade their presentation?
Into level 3, are you asking
I'm
specifically
saying,
about
like,
that?
if you're at a level 3, let's say
Okay.
you've been a level 3 for 6 months to a year or whatever,
Okay.
and you're using a platform like Blue Jeans, or maybe you started on Blab, something like that, or maybe you just got Wirecast. What are the things that you see like that level 3s could do that you go, wow, that's so easy? If they did that in one day, they would upgrade their presentation or the quality of their show or whatever.
That's a great question. So there are a couple of things that you could do to stay at a level 3, but make it look amazing. And that is, as well, we'll start with, just look behind me. We are sitting on my set right now.
Right.
Between me and my set, my backdrop, it's about 6 feet. So it's not a lot of space, right? And so really this set took maybe $35. So,
Really?
and because I already had a bunch of stuff, right? So,
Right.
like, you already have the pictures, like this Beatles picture, already had it.
Right.
The bookshelf here, all the books, all the stuff on the bookshelf, already had. The lamps, actually, those lamps came from IKEA, so like
Okay.
nothing, like $10. The backdrop itself, and you can actually see over here, I left the set video wide so that you
Right.
could actually see what we're sitting at, because this isn't a really fancy thing. It looks good on camera,
Right.
but you can actually see over here the seam of my vinyl backdrop. So this is a $35 buy at Amazon.
Wow.
And it's durable. It just hangs. Actually, we have it tacked to the wall, so we're not destroying any of the structure where we are. So that's just it's a brick backdrop. There are so many different options you can get on Amazon in terms of
Wow.
backdrops that will, if you can just set aside some space dedicated to that, set up your lights, set up something, but it's a dedicated small space. It doesn't take up a lot of room, but that way you don't have to take it down and put it back up every time.
Right.
That'll make a massive difference. We actually did a workshop, the free workshop on how to build a set in under $200. And I think it actually came out to like $110 all on, when
Mm.
all was said and done. So I'll give you a link to put that in the description
Oh,
after
that's
the fact.
fantastic. Thank
But
you.
yeah,
I mean, when I look at your set when you're doing your show, I mean, it looks like you're in this sort of like luxurious room. I mean, it's got such a beautiful appearance on it, and yet you said you spent $35, and you didn't have to build a brick wall behind you or anything. You just
Right.
leave, like you said, 6 feet about between where you're sitting and where the wall is. Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And so you do want some depth if you can get it. You don't have to, but if you can get it, like if you look up, let me show you up here. Up here is a little hair light,
Right,
right?
right,
So that little light just kind of gives me some separation along here. It's
right, right,
actually, it looks a little harsher than it does on our regular camera, but I'm just using the webcam. But it gives me distinction between me and the backdrop. So just
right.
small little things like that can make a massive difference. I think another thing is graphics. So
Hmm.
something where, you hire somebody. If you're most of us, let's face it, are not great with graphics. I
Right.
am not allowed to touch graphics around here. By my own, like I will not allow myself to touch graphics because I'm terrible at it. So you got to know your strengths. If you're not good at that, then don't try and create graphics yourself. We have one person, Paul Dixon, who does all our graphics so that we have consistency throughout all our website, throughout our live streams, throughout our regular recorded videos. So everything looks and has the same feel. And so just by adding a little bit of graphics to your presentation that look good and clean and professional, you can make a massive
Hmm.
difference in your quality appearance.
Right, right. Well, it's something on my list for the next year to work on. This
Hey, but
set
you
was
know
put to, this set was put together for $0.
what?
But
Well,
no,
that's what you
I
did
don't
with
have
the
a course
color.
on that. For $100, I can tell you how to do $0. No,
But
but
like at least you didn't stop. At least you didn't let it stop you, right? Like that's
yeah.
number one. You got to get it done, and if it doesn't have to be perfect, you can step it up as you go on.
So now a lot of people when they get to level 3 and they're doing it for a little while, they think that maybe they should run out and get a green screen.
Oh
What do
God,
you
please.
think of the No, you're not a fan, right?
I beg you to take the word green screen out of your vocabulary.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Green screen is a no-no for 99% of the people.
Right.
And so the only time you should do green screen is if you have a professional videographer or editor who knows what the hell they're doing.
Right.
You have to light it perfectly. You have to key it out perfectly. Like there's so many points of failure that are possible with green screen. So I say absolutely not. And I would want to meet whoever is doing that before giving a go ahead for green screen. Yeah, like I said, backdrops you can make it look like whatever you want to with some simple set design and don't let set design scare you. It's just putting
Right.
some stuff there. So yeah,
Right, right.
no on green screen.
Yeah. So are there are other things that you get asked a lot by people sort of in that level 3 zone, or things that you observe that you say, "Oh, I could really help this person if they just would do fill in the
Yeah,
blank."
a very very basic one is framing. um so having the rule of thirds, which let's just call it out. So if you
Mhm.
have kind of a tic-tac-toe board in your
Mhm.
frame, I'm kind of cheating here, I'm looking at my frame here. So the rule of thirds, really want to be on. I wasn't sure how we were going to come in framed, so I sat right in the middle. But really, if you want to go well, you got me on the kind of the side of that, right? But then if you've got to also think about it from a perspective of having dual screens. So if you're presenting two people on the same screen in a split screen environment, which people at level 3 do a lot, right?
Right.
You want to make sure that your when you're like sitting here in the lower or the side
Right.
of your video when it's a single shot, then you want to be, in the middle when it's a
Right.
dual shot. So just framing, too much headroom, is often a thing. Like if you don't mind me picking on you for a second,
Right.
I would suggest
Go ahead.
I would
Yeah,
suggest a
I can
little
take
less
it.
headroom. So like just bringing your webcam. No, other way. Just making sure that
Better.
your head is kind of towards the top of the frame as opposed to more in the middle. And things like that are just really super easy things to
Is
do
that
and make it look
that
better.
better?
It is a lot better. Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, one of the things when you use these platforms, I mean, obviously, like if you're using something like, and I keep coming back to Wirecast because that's the encoding software live production vehicle that I know how to use.
Mhm.
You can compose all the shots ahead of time, so you can have a shot for, say, if you were just had your guest on by themselves, and another shot where you're side by side, and it just depends how you crop it. You don't actually have to move them. When you use a platform, you don't always get in the recorded video what you thought you were seeing. Like I remember having somebody on Blab and they positioned themselves so there'd be nothing like sort of identifying behind them, and then the recording comes out and it's like totally different from what they were seeing. So
Oh no.
that's one of the advantages, I guess, when you get to level 3. The more you can do yourself, the more you can actually compose those shots ahead of time, so that they're already set up when you go from person by themselves to two people side by side and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing you have to realize that is at any level,
Mhm.
especially level 3 and level 4, is things will go wrong a
Right.
lot because it's live video. It's just that's what happens in live. And like you can't take that personally because you can do what you do and you can practice and you can prep. And then things will sometimes just change like 2 seconds before you hit the go live button, right? And so it happens to the big networks,
Right.
it happens to everybody. And that's one of the reasons that we do like a 10-minute countdown with our shows. And we suggest that, you have this in place so that you can not only, it serves multiple purposes, but one, you get to fix issues when they
Right.
go
Right.
wrong before the start time, right? So you go 10 minutes before your top
Mhm.
of the hour, stream. And then you also get to have a chance to engage with the viewers who are
Right.
there. And you get to have this moment of relationship building. It also is really important to go live for an extended period of time, not just 5 or 10 minutes and then be out of there. When you go live at least 20 minutes, you'll see an absolute difference. So your peak happens right around the 20-minute mark. And so if
Right.
you have, if you have a 10-minute pre-show, you're spending 10 minutes, you're spending half of that just with the pre-show. And so you'll have more people get more of the content
Mhm.
for your actual show. So it serves multiple purposes.
Right. Right. And one of the things I noticed is that even though you go live on Facebook and you go live on Periscope, you're embedding a different video on your website afterwards. You're not embedding the video from one of those sites. Is that something that you recommend people, like, what do you recommend people doing when they actually take the recorded video? Um, Either that they record locally, that they record on Facebook, they record on YouTube. I assume you recommend you edit out the pre and post show. Um,
Yeah. So the if you're at level 3 and level 4 or level 4, you can save that locally, right? That file
mhm.
locally to your drive, which is a better choice. In terms of repurposing content, this is the biggest thing that people forget.
Yeah.
So when people come into live video, they think live, live, live,
Right.
live, and then it's over, and then they're gone, and they do nothing with that piece of content. you as a content creator are putting effort and time into this
Right.
content that you're creating. So why not make it work for you in multiple ways? So we do multiple things with it. One, we trim out the pre-show, and then we have just a good professional looking video, right? That
Right.
has engagement, but it's mixed in. So it's not like, oh, hey, we're fixing problems. So we edit out all
Right.
that
Right.
stuff. And then we post that on our blog, and we set a schedule of promotion depending on the type of content for like 6 months to
Hmm.
a year. We use co-schedule for that promotion. And then we also sometimes take clips of that show. So if there's something that's a tutorial or a really good piece of content, we can clip that out and say, release that as just a separate piece that may be 5 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes. And so you're going to get new people, or people who aren't willing to spend 30 minutes, but who might be
Right.
willing to spend 5 minutes, at least to get them into your universe and get them
Hmm.
interested in your content. So
Right.
multiple ways to deal with repurposing your content, but you don't want to forget about that, because again, you're putting so much work into it.
Right. Right. But the video you record locally, if you're at a level 3, or that you get from a platform that you can download rather than what goes out to YouTube or Facebook or whatever, is going to be of a higher quality.
Yes, yeah. I would say downloading from Facebook is your last resort.
Right. Right.
But if you have to do it, you have to do
Mhm.
it.
Right. And one of the things that I noticed on your website, you focus on helping people. You have courses that help people grow their show, and that's one of the biggest concerns, I think. Questions that I get from people is, "Oh my God, if I keep doing this, will anybody ever show up? Will anybody show up?" Obviously, you have to be consistent. You have to find a regular time, and you have to promote. But what are some of the things that people could do that they could take away to try and grow their audience and take their show to the next level?
Yeah, so I just want to touch on that consistency thing. That is, it's funny. Brian Fanzo's in the house. Hey, Brian. And he was just doing a live stream earlier, and he was talking about this as well. And we both feel very, very strongly about this philosophy. Like, you have to be consistent. Everyone says content is king. Consistency is king. Without consistency, you have no brand, no
Right.
stable brand, at least. So you must be consistent with your stream, with your brand, with your posting, with every single thing that goes into your brand. So this is a really, really important thing for you to say. When you start a live streaming show, you have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan in place. And that includes everything from planning to streaming to posting to marketing. So with that strategy, with that plan, you're going to post, you're going to have consistency, and then you're going to follow through. And one of the things that I want you to do, if you're thinking about going live, or if you've started live and you're having that moment of fear, or like, oh, nobody's showing up,
Right. Right.
is say to yourself, write it down, write it on the bathroom mirror in lipstick, whatever you have to do. 6 months to a year, you must be committed to yourself and to your audience and to your
Right.
business for 6 months to a year before you may see results. Now, that being said, live streaming is actually the fastest result getter that in terms of marketing that I've ever seen. And I do video and other types of marketing, Facebook ads. Like, live video has the most power and the fastest results. However, so in terms of growing the audience, you want to be consistent, and you want to make sure that you're preparing and providing value for each and every stream that you do. Then what you want to do is actually work all of your marketing pieces together. So you may have an email list. You may have, if you're going live on Facebook, you may have Twitter as well, or Instagram or Snapchat. You may have other properties like a website. you want to work all of those pieces together. So you don't want to just treat Facebook Live or wherever you're going live, Periscope, as its own entity and expect
Right.
everybody to get there, right? So you have to say to your email list, hey, I'm over here. You have to go to your website. Hey, I'm over here. You have to go to Twitter if you're on Facebook and say, hey, I'm over here. Like, you got to work all of these things together. And you've got to have this strategy and this plan to make it all one cohesive plan and strategy, right? So that's one of the things. Don't think that it's its own little island. And then one of the other things is network. I know people hate that word because it's a scary ass word. Like, I don't want to go. I hate networking events, like, I'm shy. I know you don't believe that, but I
am. And one of these days you'll get up the confidence to do your own show, right?
Right. But it's true. Like, at an event, when I think about the word marketing, I'm like, oh God, I just want to go hide in a corner. But you got to you got to make friendships. You got to get out there and build relationships with like-minded people who you want to be in your community. So find other Facebook groups, find Twitter hashtags that are relevant to your topic, and start getting out there, start talking to people, start providing value, and make sure that your platforms represent your show. So what I mean by that is, if you look at my profile pictures, or my profile headers on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, like everywhere, it says straight up, start and grow your live streaming show. That's my message. And it says, live at 10 a.m. Pacific every weekday. Like, it's very clear where you can find me. And so when people do check you out because you've been providing value and you've been building relationships, they may click over to your profile. They need to be very clear about where they can get more of you. If they are not, they will leave and never come back. So, this is all a cohesive strategy that you've got to build.
Wow, that's so much great information. I'm going to have to actually watch the replay. I never watch the replays of my own shows and start taking notes. But while you're talking about multiple platforms, I want to bring in a question from Eileen Smith on Facebook. Says, what is the biggest downside of doing multicasting to Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube?
If you're not set up for it, it will harm you rather than do you good. So it is not for everybody to multicast. So what I mean by that is, the worst thing you can do for your audience is not be there for your audience. So if you're going to Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, and you're only paying attention to Facebook, then Periscope and YouTube are left out, and they won't be back, because people show up at live streams because they want that conversation, because they know that they should be able to talk to you. So if they ask you a question, you have to answer that question, right? If they say hi, you've got to say hi to them. So, this is the two-way conversation, and the worst thing you can do is not have a conversation with your audience. It will harm you rather than do you good. So if you can only pay attention to one platform, then only do one platform at a time. You could take the same content to multiple different platforms at different times and still accomplish the same thing. But the reason that we're able to accomplish that is twofold. One, I'm not setting up multiple different devices. I'm not setting up two phones that then I have to look at this lens. Yeah, this lens and then this lens. I was like, is it down here? I'm not switching my eyes back and forth, paying attention to two different audiences where they know that I'm not giving them my full attention. They will feel left out. And that's why I don't like dual streaming with two different devices. But what I'm doing is I'm sending one signal to multiple different places. And that way everybody feels included. And secondly, I've got a system down. I have all of my platforms. I've got Facebook, I've got Periscope, my 2 accounts on Periscope, I've got YouTube all up on my screen at the same time, where I'm seeing all of their comments and responding. And I just go back and forth. I go Facebook, Periscope, YouTube,
Right.
Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. Like,
Right.
but that also requires multitasking and being able to deliver content, being able to pay attention to the comments, right? So it's an involved process. So I don't suggest that you do it unless you can do it well.
Right. We're talking with Luria Petrucci from livestreamingpros.com. Welcome everyone watching on Facebook. If you have questions, we'd love to take your questions. And before we get on to the monetization part, which may have some interest to a couple people who are watching,
I think we can skip that.
Yeah, let's just skip the monetization. Nobody cares about that. We all just do it for the love of the broadcast. But when you do TV, because I saw you were on CNN to talk about the iPhone 7, and you've done reporting for BBC and other, traditional cable and network TV. How is that experience different from, somebody who does so much live streaming and podcasting and things like that? Like, do you feel like a fish out of water, or do you feel like it's the exact same skill set and principles you're using to do your live stream show?
There are similarities for sure, but there are definitely differences. And the main difference is the one-way broadcast versus the conversation that's happening. Even, when I do expert segments on CNN, for example, it's definitely a different feel. Like when I get on there, it's all right, go, 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 go. You've got to be like super quick. You've got to push your content out, and
Right.
you don't care what what else is happening, right? So it's definitely just a super quick, typically one-way broadcast. You're not even really having a conversation with the host of the show, even though there is conversation happening. It's not real conversation. It's question answer typically.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very different environment. I definitely, I've done a ton of TV. I definitely prefer the live streaming aspect where we can really get to know. Like, I know all of my viewers. I know who they are, where they're from, and not every single one, but if you take the time to have a conversation with me, I am taking the time to learn about you. I know even sometimes their birthday or their dog's name or their business, right? So I'm taking the time to really get to know and build a relationship with my viewers. You can't do that on regular traditional TV. So that's the main difference, and that's why I prefer doing what I do best.
Sabrina asked, where were you when I started live streaming last year?
I was right here.
Well, she's right here now, and we're going to move into the monetization part. And let me ask this from the perspective of a lot of people who are, like I say, we're kind of focusing on the level 3, people who maybe discovered this kind of thing on Blab, and they've been doing it 6 months to a year and a half. And they start to think, well, is this something that could be monetized? How would you recommend they go about either doing research on that or starting to monetize? Like, how would you recommend getting that process started? Easy for me to say.
Well, first, so this is a huge topic, right? And it's definitely something that I cover, in depth in my courses. But this is, first and foremost, you want to start with the knowledge that you may want to monetize it, but not with the drive of monetization. So there's a very big difference here. And that looks like this. When you start with the drive of monetization, all you are thinking about is money. When you're going to create your show based on wanting that money, you're going to create your content based on wanting that money. You're going to think about money constantly. And yes, we're all businesses here. This is a necessary part of business. Let's face it. But when you start with the knowledge that, yes, you do need to monetize it, but you focus on the value first, you're going to have a way better success rate. Somebody actually in one of my broadcasts said, let's see if I can remember this. He said, help. Shoot, I forget what all the things stood for, but it was like, engage, like I forget what the H was, but like help, but then engage, listen to people, and then promote less. So those, I forget what the H really stood for.
Right.
But this is the concept, right? You are focusing solely on the value, making sure that you are helping people, that you are providing value, you're getting people to where they need to go in whatever industry you're in. And then you have a product or a service that you're selling. So there are multiple ways of monetization. So let's back up here for a minute.
Right.
You can do it indirectly or you can do it directly. Directly would be things like monetization, or sorry, would be like sponsorships. So if you're going to get a sponsor for your show, that's a direct monetization route. Or if you're going to have viewer funding, like through Patreon, that's a direct monetization route. Those are both hard and
Right.
take a lot of time. Any monetization is a little difficult. But then indirect monetization is if you are going to look at your show as a marketing effort, marketing strategy, and you're going to build your expertise. And then you're going to monetize that in ways like offering your products or services, or building your expertise so that you get speaking engagements, or you can provide consultation, calls and have coaching. So those are indirect monetization. And that's how we do ours. Like Live Streaming Pros, right. We're live every weekday. We're giving away a ton of free content, and we're helping people every single day. On the back end of that, at the end, we have a call to action. If you would like to learn more and take the step-by-step guide through our courses, we would love to help you get started with the right strategy, as opposed to, trying to do it all on your own and finding the frustration. So that's our call to action. And then we tell them where they can go to get those courses. But it's a welcome call to action, because you've just given them a ton of value. And there are so many different ways that you can get a call to action in there, where it's welcome, as opposed to this hard pitch at the end. I'm going to sell you now, right? Like nobody wants that.
Price is going up in 20 minutes, but if you buy now.
Exactly. So that's how you sell, is you have a monetization route, and then you focus on the value, and you offer, what you're doing really is you're offering somebody to take that next step with you, and giving them something of even more value that of course they need to pay for, because it's your expertise. It's you've spent your time and years of and money on building that expertise. And if they want that, in-depth knowledge, then that's how life works, right?
Right.
So it's not that you're selling, it's that you're offering, that next step.
So of the three options, being sponsorship, being, getting your community to contribute through something like Patreon, or using your show as a vehicle to then offer products and services, the last one of the three is the one where most people are going to find, if they find success at monetizing it, that's going to be where it happens, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say yes. Most of the people who are probably watching right now are going to fall into that category. If you have a business, if you have a brand, if you are trying to sell your expertise essentially, then that's where you're going to fall. Sponsorships are definitely a route that you can go down, but it's a harder route. I did sponsorships for my podcasts and live streams for 10 years. And I finally was like, screw that. I'm done. I'm done with
Right.
sponsorships. Just because it's a constant sales cycle, you know. So it's a harder route to go down for most people.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, there's a great discussion going on Facebook about monetization and whether it drives, people to feel too much pressure. Mario Armstrong, Jen
Hey,
Nelson
Mario.
are participating, Sabrina, Michael Thomas. Just great discussion going on. Don't have time to bring everybody's questions in at the moment, but if you do
Actually,
have questions, go ahead.
can I bring one person's up, Brian? Giving value equals your perfect sales pitch. I just want to offer an example here that really drives that home. One of my clients, AJ Rivera, and I just did a show with him recently where we talked about this. He used, he goes live fairly regularly. He isn't doing a show just yet. He's getting to that, but he does live regularly. And then one day he just had a really bad day. Like this happened and then that happened. It was just a snowball effect of badness
Right.
all day long. And he had made the commitment to do a live stream that day. And most people would have at the end of the day been like, forget it. I'm getting a glass of wine and I'm done. Like,
Right.
I'm not doing live. But he said, I had a commitment. I'm going to do it anyway. And so he did it. And all he said was, I've had a really bad day. What can I do to help you? And so he just sat there and answered questions. He just helped people. And literally he was like, I'm not here to pitch anything. I'm not going to offer you anything. I'm just having a bad day and I want to get out of my funk and I want to help you in, to do that. And so he just sat there for 30 minutes and answered questions, helped people. And by the end of that, he had people begging him to provide a link so they could buy his stuff.
Wow.
So, right? Like this drives value is key home because that wasn't his goal 100%. He just wanted to help because that he knew could get him out of his funk. And it worked. He had like 5 or 6 sales that day.
Right. For people looking to do the sponsorship route, how do you measure, like how do potential sponsors measure live video? I know podcast is kind of measured in downloads and radio has its Arbitron ratings and all that kind of thing. But what is the metric that everybody looks for in live streaming, or is it too new to have really found something yet?
No, I mean, it's not too new. It's been around for a long time. It depends on what sponsor you're talking to be honest. There are some sponsors who get it and some sponsors who don't. So the sponsors who don't, just like regular recorded video podcasts, you're going to have people who just want numbers, and that's all they care about. And so with live video, like we were talking about earlier with the repurposing of that content, you can still cue live video from or look at the numbers from a perspective of on live and then after live, and you can still go out that 30 days because live lives on. Right. I call it the afterlife, or after live, but the after part of live video. I just found a spider. Sorry. Hello, spider.
Does that count as a view? Can we add that to the view list?
Hey, sitting here listening. But you've got those view counts that you can do. But the more important measurement and what you would want to drive your sponsors to understand, and a lot of times you have to educate your sponsors rather than let them tell you what they're looking for.
Right.
But the more important one is engagement. So what is the engagement like? I look at the live, the 1-to-1 ratio. This is what I look for. If you have 20 viewers and you have 20 comments, and you are good. Like that is good engagement, right? And if that goes above, if you have 20 comments or 20 viewers and 50 comments, you've got a highly engaged audience. So that's what you're looking for. And I don't care so much about likes or hearts. Like those things, yes, they are a factor of engagement, but they're not what I really pay attention to. I pay attention to those comments. Are you getting people to actually participate in the conversation and talk to you and share that with their friends? That's
Mhm.
what's more important to me, at least.
We'd love to get a
And
couple more. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to tack one thing on, and that's what will give your sponsors more value and more response to their products. So
We'd love to get a couple more questions from Facebook before we wrap up. I do want to ask you, like, do 10-second views, does that matter? Is that something? I mean, that seems to be like the first metric on Facebook, right? You get views and you get 10-second views and you get people who completed watching. There's got to be something in between, right? If you do an hour show, I mean, it's nice to know somebody watched for 10 seconds, but that doesn't really tell me very much. Or it's
I,
nice to know somebody completed the whole hour. That's wonderful, but that isn't going to be most people either. Like, there needs to be like a 10-minute mark or something.
right. A 10-second viewer does me absolutely no good. No, it's I mean, that's really their algorithm for saying they at least didn't scroll right past it. But again, that could mean, any number of things. They got a call and their cursor is sitting there like on top of your, it's just
Right.
a random stat that means really nothing. But yeah, it matters more. I would like Facebook analytics, definitely the best analytics in the business right now. Well, I mean, YouTube has really good analytics as well, but
Right.
I would like to see those get deeper over, and they will over time. They've already taken a massive step in the right direction in the last 6 months.
Right.
But what you're looking for are the people who will stick around with you, right? What you're trying to create with your live show is that consistency, and you're trying to create a habit with your viewers. So our philosophy, and probably should have said this right up front, is that you have this consistent show at the same time every single weekday, or sorry, not every single weekday, don't do that. Every single week, you're live. Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Eastern.
Right.
Pacific time. I don't know what time it is over there. You have this consistent show, but then
Right.
on top of that, you have the random streams that you do to build the relationship and open up the human side to your brand.
Right.
So you have that combo effect. And with that consistency, you're creating this habit so that people will stick around for 30 minutes while you do your show. And they're going to make time to be there. And that's what you're trying to build. And don't get so caught up on the analytics that it drives you insane.
Right.
Use it as a guide, but it's not there to make you go crazy.
Yeah, Mario Armstrong says that those metrics of a few seconds were fine for a short form video, but not really good for live streams.
Totally agree.
A question from Jen Nelson. What is the ratio of content to engagement that makes your audience feel the most included while still providing good content for the replay?
Yeah, this is a biggie. So good question, Jen. What I actually have a formula that I teach in our courses and with our live streams. What you want to avoid is this scenario. Hey, so I'm going to give you the secret to life. Oh my God, Mario, I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so today we're really going to talk about the secret to life. Oh, Jen, what a good question. It's really good to see you. Yeah, I'm going to answer that here in a minute. So the secret to life is this. What you want to do is, first step, Eileen, hey! Really freaking annoying, isn't it? Like, you get to the actual content. So,
Right.
what you want to avoid is too much engagement. Like that is an actual mistake that people make. Even though I say like engagement is key here. So what you want to do is you want to start out with a teaser. You have a teaser that tells people what to get, what they're going to get. Now, this teaser, this 2-second teaser at the very beginning of your live stream doesn't actually do anything for the live videos or for the live video because no one's there to see it yet.
Right.
But what it does is sets you up for your replays, right? And your recorded video. So you start off with that teaser. Then you say, you intro yourself, you say who you are and why people should watch you, just kind of have that intro. And then by that time, you should have some people joining, unless you're doing your first few streams, which you may not have anybody, and that's okay. But if you do have people, then you can start to call people out and say hi and welcome them. And then you pretty immediately get into the content. And this is without a 10-minute pre-show, right? Like a pre-show is completely different. I'm talking about the content itself. And so you get into the value pretty immediately, right? Like you got to get into it. And then somebody took this wrong the other day, so I just want to clarify. You do want to give people some time to get into it, but you don't want to sit there and be like, hey, I'm talking about nothing. I've got nothing to say. So tell a story. If you're waiting for people to join, have a story prepared to talk to. But anyway, so get into the value. And then when you come to a stopping point, you get to the engagement part. So you go back to the audience, you answer questions, you say hi to people, you call them out by name, rather than just saying the question. Use their name because people love to hear their name. And then you get back into the value, and then you get to the engagement. So like if you have a 5-step process or a how-to or anything like that, you'll find natural breaking points in your value that you want to pause, take some questions, and get back into the value.
Right. Couple quick questions before we wrap up that I have, and just kind of quick hitters. But what do you like to watch when you're not thinking about broadcasting at all and you're watching live stream or you're listening to a podcast? What kind of thing do you enjoy just on your own?
It's a good question. So I watch a lot of like other live streamers just to see, because I'm always looking for examples to use or people doing it well and things like that. So I watch just a lot of other live streamers. If I'm not thinking about work at all, then I tend to watch just my friends, like Leslie Samuel from becomeablogger.com. Like he does good value, but he also does really good, like just family streams. Like he'll show off his newborn baby, like things like that. And, so that kind of stuff.
Now, if you had to pick only one platform for the average person, I know everybody's got different communities and different interests, but if somebody said, where should I go? I'm doing a middle of the road show. Should I go to Facebook? Should I go to Periscope? Should I go to YouTube? And they only have time to do one. They can't set up multiple screens and all that. Which platform would you tell them to go to?
Most people are going to find the most success in Facebook, just because of all that it offers in terms of the afterlife of the show. And so that, in being able to get a bigger audience in terms of running Facebook ads to it, the ability to even download your streams, every little nuance that Facebook has right now is definitely winning for the majority of people out there.
And what kind of live stream show would you never like to see again? Or you see just too many of, like, oh, wow, not another one of these. Everybody thinks this is great, but it's really not that entertaining.
Well, before you said everybody thinks this is great. Like the live streams that I've seen that I never want to see again are women in bikinis, like shaking their booty directly in front of the camera. or up the nose shots of people saying absolutely nothing, or like them watching TV and them just holding the phone here and saying absolutely nothing. Like those streams drive me insane.
5 years from now, will live streaming look more like television, or will television look more like live stream shows, or will they meet somewhere in the middle?
If Facebook has anything to do with it, all TV will look like a Facebook live stream. If Mark Zuckerberg has anything to say about it. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, take Mario Armstrong for example, right? Like he's meshing the two worlds right now with his live shows. So you're gonna see a meshing that's gonna happen, but I believe that the engagement, the audience participation, that part of the live streaming phenomenon will win out over. So like I think the quality from TV and the engagement from live streaming, those two mesh, you've got something good.
Quick final question from Chef Michael Thomas asks, which platform do you think is better as a practice platform?
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you're just on there to practice, Facebook, you can actually practice privately. Actually, on Periscope, you can do that as well. So, either of those, if you want to just practice, you can go private. You can share it with only your friends and family, or a couple of people you trust, so either, it doesn't really matter, but I would say get used to the platform you're planning on going live on a regular basis, not just practice over here and then go over here, because you're going to have different experiences.
Thank you so much for joining us, Luria. It's been a lot of fun and so much great information over the last hour. Just tell everybody where they can find you, and if you have anything you want to pitch, the floor is yours.
You mean offer?
Anything you would like to offer for people who may need a little more information or help, you are here at their service.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for having me, by the way. This has been a blast. Thank you for all the comments that have come in. You guys are awesome in the chat room. So yeah, livestreamingpros.com is my website. We are live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube every single weekday. Live streaming pros, except for Periscope. You can find that on the website. But yeah, it gets a little bit more complicated. But yeah, so we're live daily at 10 a.m. Pacific every single weekday, and would love to see you as engage and be part of the community. If you do want to take that next step and actually learn all of the steps that we suggest taking with live streaming in terms of starting your show and then also growing your show, you can find those at livestreamingpros.com/startmyshow. And that's also on the main page there as well. So yeah.
Wow. Well, if the last hour is any indication, I imagine it's a great buy, and you have so much great knowledge to share. So again, we appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much, Luria Petrucci from livestreamingpros.com. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.